Further discuss this now with Sami Al-Arian. He joins us live from Doha. He is the director of the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. Thank you for being with us on the program. So we've heard from Hamas say that the only way the remaining hostages will be freed is through commitment to the ceasefire deal, and that it abides by the ceasefire agreement and is ready to start talks on the second phase. As we know, these talks were supposed to begin weeks ago, but there were hiccups in the negotiations, as Qatar had mentioned, the mediators there in Qatar had mentioned. Talk to us a bit about what we can expect moving forward now in terms of phase two.
That's correct. The phase two negotiations were supposed to have started on day 16. The 42 days will expire on Saturday in a couple of days. And therefore, if we have to attribute the delay, it has to be attributed to Israel because they refuse to send any delegation to negotiate the second phase. They have been trying to find all kinds of justifications to resume the war. Your reporter has said correctly that Netanyahu, under pressure both from his party, the Licudists, as well as from his right-wing partners, are trying to find ways in order to resume this war. They're not interested in any kind of a negotiated settlement to the war. And therefore, what we expect in the future is that the Israeli government, the Israeli regime, will try to extend the first phase to get as many people, as many captives from Hamas as possible without having to give any kind of concessions in return, because that's what the second phase is supposed to give. A crucial day is day 50, which will be a week from Sunday. Day 50, they're supposed to withdraw from the Philadelphia corridor. If that happens, then that will give us a good indicator that a resumption of the war would be unlikely. But if that doesn't happen, and that's what is expected from Israel, that means we have more chance that there will be a resumption of the war. Let's also keep in mind that there are at least 66, perhaps a little less, of the Israeli captives that haven't been released. Only a third have been released. And along that, 1,900 Palestinians almost have been released. And for the other 66 or so to be released, about half of them may not even be alive. That means Israel would have to release several thousand Palestinians, upward of 4,000 or 5,000. And that's a tall order. But the agreement, finally, the agreement says that as long as there are talks, then there could not be a resumption of the war. So people are hoping that there will be, with the arrival of the American envoy, that there will be more negotiations, and therefore the resumption of the war would not be likely, perhaps during the month of Ramadan, which starts on Saturday.
As you mentioned, the far right is putting a lot of pressure on Netanyahu to continue the war on Gaza. He's also under pressure from Donald Trump, as we saw in Trump's latest AI video that was shared on his social media platform. He has this vision to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. Let me get your thoughts on that video. And now this pressure that Netanyahu is facing, will he go through Trump's route or take the route of the far right?
Well, Trump's mentality is the mentality of an imperialist, a white supremacist. He doesn't care about the Palestinians one bit. He cares about basically satisfying and pleasing his donors, mostly Zionists, such as Miriam Edelson, who gave him $100 million during his campaign. And he promised to approve the negotiations in terms of getting the release of the hostages and the Israelis, as well as the annexation of the West Bank. So what's happening here is that could be read in different ways. One way is that he's serious about this, and that's what the video started trying to tell us. But another reading could be that he's trying to put a maximalist position by which he's trying to pressure the Arabs to get the Hamas to agree to be dislodged from the ruling of Gaza, as well as to disarm and perhaps even to be expelled from Gaza, which is basically a political position. He's trying to get what Israel couldn't do militarily for over 15 months. He's trying to get that politically. But a third reading could also be is that he, when he announced this, about the expulsion and of the Palestinians from Gaza. This was during Netanyahu's visit. And Trump is not interested in resumption of the war. He has a very long agenda. He's trying to change things domestically and internationally. And he's not interested in any kind of resumption of the war. So when he asked Netanyahu what he wants, and Netanyahu said, we need to resume the war to dislodge Hamas, he said, I'm going to get every Palestinian out of Gaza. Why waste time on Hamas? This could also be a reading, but I think most likely is the second reading, in which he's trying to pressure the Arabs to get Hamas and the resistance out of Gaza, and also keep the pressure on the Palestinians.
Well, on that note, I'm glad you mentioned the Arabs, because the Arab League is going to meet next week. It's an important meeting. Egypt is putting their plan, the peace plan, on the table to discuss, what the future of Gaza may look like. Talk to us a bit about what that plan entails and what we can expect from that meeting.
It's not clear what the final meeting is. Several Arab leaders held meetings in Riyadh this week, and they're going to have a final plan by next week in Cairo. What is expected of that plan is that it's going to be a plan led by Arabs in order to stop this onslaught on the Palestinians, this war. But more importantly, they're trying to answer Trump's proposal, which is to expel the Palestinians from Gaza, by giving a plan. And in the heart of the plan is possible, this has been leaked, but it's not confirmed, it's possible that they're trying to propose some kind of a Palestinian leadership in Gaza under some kind of an Arab supervision, perhaps even some Arab troops, to secure the Palestinians from the inside in order to dislodge Israel, to have Israel withdraw from occupying Gaza. But more importantly, to placate Trump, saying that Hamas will not be the principal stakeholder in Gaza, that they will probably disarm, but not in a way that he wants, perhaps even to store its weapons. I don't think any of these proposals would be accepted by the resistance. What they couldn't do in 470 days of onslaught, of extermination, war of extermination, of genocide, they'll not be able to get politically. So it's going to be very arduous and very difficult negotiations moving forward.
Talk to us a bit about the position that Saudi Arabia is in at the moment and the amount of leverage that they have over the United States. As we know, Trump has a lot of plans, including the Abraham Accords, for various Arab countries, most prominently Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia has a lot of leverage, but they have been very reluctant to use this leverage. What they have asked the administration to do in exchange for their normalization deal with the Israeli regime, which is basically what Trump wants, they asked for a commitment from Israel that there will be serious negotiations toward the establishment of a Palestinian state. And of course, everybody knows that train has left the station a long time ago. There is no two-state solution, and everybody knows that, but everybody's trying to look the other way because the alternatives are horrifying. What Israel has chosen by this war, they chose that to solve their demographic problem, they're going to use every tactic, every pressure, every strategy that is going to pressure the Palestinians either to surrender or to leave. This policy was actually announced by Smotrich, the current finance minister and partner of Netanyahu, in early 2023, when that government was in power. He said that the Palestinians have three choices. One is that they have to surrender. They have to accept that Israel is in charge of the whole territory from the river to the sea. This is a fact of life that they have to live with, that this is a Jewish state, and the Arabs will not have civil or political rights. If they refuse to do so, and he said, I understand that, then they could be compensated and leave. And if they refuse, what is waiting for them is death. Basically, these are the choices. And that's what was one of the reasons why the Palestinians did what they did on October the 7th. But now, Trump seems to be favoring this kind of position. He does not talk about two-state solution. No one in America today, in the political system, in the elites, talk about two-state solution. Everybody is trying to end this conflict by normalizing, by bypassing the Palestinians and normalizing between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, Saudis are very reluctant to do so. And I think if they stand their ground, because they have much leverage over the United States, I think the United States will have eventually to back down.
Okay, Sami Al-Arian, I always appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much for joining us.